Hello, Good Friday 2020, the 10th of April, the third week of the virus lockdown. So we've come to celebrate Good Friday in a different way. We're not in church, we're in our own homes. We are separated, yet we are close together. We have many ways of keeping in contact through the written word and the spoken word, the digital word and the telephone. So now we come to remember God, to remember Jesus, what happened the first Good Friday, and to take a little bit home with us, to think a little bit about that first Good Friday in this new and different way of celebrating. Winnie is here, as he has been with me all week, has been with me all 3 weeks really. And the opening prayer will be from this book, The Book of Uncommon Prayer by Annie Heptonstall. Lots of excellent prayers are in here. Our opening prayer. Self-giving one, your love knows no bounds, and we stand in awe of your willingness to suffer, that we may have abundant life. Help us to understand what your sacrifice means for us and for the world. And as we do, may we break open the closed doors, the stone tombs of our hearts, and may we be free from the fear of death and the fear of life. Amen. Our reading this afternoon is taken from John chapter 18, beginning at verse 33. Then Pilate entered the headquarters again and summoned Jesus and said to him, "Are you the King of the Jews?" Jesus answered, "Do you ask this on your own, or did others tell you about me?" Pilate replied, "I am not a Jew, am I? Your own nation and the chief priests have handed you over to me. If my kingdom, what have you done?" Jesus answered him, "My kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over to the Jews. But as it is, my kingdom is not from here." Pilate asked him, "So you are a king?" Jesus answered, "You say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I came into the world, to testify to the truth. Everyone who belongs to the truth listens to my voice." And Pilate asked him, "What is truth?" After he had said this, he went out to the Jews again and told them, "I find no case against him. But you have a custom that I release someone for you at the Passover. Do you want me to release for you the King of the Jews?" They shouted, "No, not this man, but Barabbas." Now Barabbas was a bandit. Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged, and the soldiers wove a crown of thorns and put it on his head. They dressed him in purple robes. They kept coming up to him saying, "Hail, King of the Jews," and striking him on the face. Pilate went out and said to them, "Look, I am bringing him out to you, to let you know that I find no case against him." So Jesus came out, wearing the crown of thorns and the purple robe. And Pilate said to them, "Here is the man." When the chief priests and the police saw him, they shouted, "Crucify him! Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Take him yourself and crucify him. I find no case against him." And this is the gospel of the Lord. This Good Friday, it's unusual that we're at home. We're cut off physically from other Christian people. We're unsure of what the future will hold. And as we come, we give thanks at this time of lockdown to the National Health Service, those who work in essential services. And we especially remember the doctors, the nurses, the bus drivers who have sacrificed their lives in recent weeks to help us. Our prayers and our thanks and our humble hopes drift to heaven in thanks for all that they have done, for all that they have died for, as we give thanks for the lives of all people who have passed on to heaven at this Good Friday. Often they are people we don't notice much, but we owe them so much too. Who do we notice as we go about our lives? Do we notice the police person, the fire person, the bank worker, the shop worker, the delivery driver, the doctor, the nurse, and so many others? Do we notice Winnie? Normally, he sits in the vestry alone, unwanted. But today he's in the centre. He's with us, as God is always. But we would notice if they're not there. I had no post this week for 2 days. It felt so odd. And we hardly notice them, do we? The postwoman, the postman, until they're not there. And today, of course, Jesus' disciples, later on in the day, noticed that Jesus wasn't there. They saw him crucified. Jesus had gone. And they didn't know what we know. And if we look at the story from John's Gospel we've just heard, there are many we notice in the Good Friday story, aren't there? There's Pilate himself, the people who shout for Jesus, not the cry of Hosanna we hear on Sunday, Palm Sunday, but crucify him, crucify him. Pilate turns the situation from himself to the people when he says, "Take him yourselves and crucify him. I find no case against him." Then there's Barabbas, the man set free. I wonder what sort of life he had, a bandit given a second opportunity. Did he notice Jesus and think, that could have been me? When the virus lockdown is over, and it will be over, when we are set free to go about our daily lives, we can feel a bit like Barabbas maybe, wondering how things can be different. Like Barabbas, we can look forward to so much. The freedom to worship in church again, the freedom to go out shopping, the freedom to travel, and so much more. But who else is in the story? There's Jesus, of course, the central character. And then there's the soldiers. They sit on the edge of the story. We don't know their names or their ages or the hometown they come from. They're almost not seen. But they are there. The bin lorry came on Thursday. As they do most Thursdays, they emptied my bin. They took away the recycling. Something normal that happens almost unseen, 5 o'clock in the morning when we're asleep. Perhaps they too deserve a clap, like the NHS, like all unseen workers. And here we can remember those who are outside helping others at this time, the unseen. Just as the soldiers hearing the story of that first Good Friday are almost unseen. Yes, we know they're there. They're always there. Every time we read this book, every time we read this story, they're there. Could it be that they stand in for us? Like us, they have stood on the edge. They have heard Jesus' responses to Pilate. It's well worth reminding ourselves of these responses. Are you the king of the Jews, says Pilate? And Jesus answered, do you ask this on your own? And he goes on to say, Jesus, my kingdom is not from this world. If my kingdom were from this world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over. Then Pilate asked him, are you a king? And Jesus answered, you say that I am a king. For this I was born, and for this I come into the world, to testify to truth. And Pilate said, what is truth? The soldiers heard all of this. Their response, well, it was to mock Jesus. They were caught up in the crowd, as all crowds are. Have you been to a football match? Everybody is caught up. Caught up in the moment. They take a crown, not a crown with gold and diamonds, but a crown of thorns, twisted together, perhaps made of palm leaves to mirror Palm Sunday. The palms are now used to mock, not welcome, to mock, not praise. The long thorns at the end of palms can be 100 centimetres long. Just imagine how painful this would have been. They put Jesus in a purple robe. They mock him further. They slap him. They mock him. They whip him. The soldiers, unknowingly, are acting out and taking part in the most important moment in human history. The half unseen, the half forgotten, are pushed forward and take the centre stage, as are the NHS workers, shop workers, bin collectors, and maybe ourselves too. We are pushed forward at this time to do things, to be seen, to act in the community, even if it's just a card or a telephone call. Many of us are shopping for others who can't go out. Many of us are phoning others, caring for others, praying for others. Have you noticed too how in the shops and out walking, socially distanced of course, keeping ourselves 2 metres apart, people are speaking more, sharing more, showing a concern for others. Is this a small glimpse of God's kingdom all around us, in action? They are half forgotten. The half forgotten are thrust forward to the centre, noticed, seen and valued. Just as the unseen soldiers that first Good Friday are now centre stage. Not realising it, their actions reverberate down history to us now. Without their actions, Easter Day would not have happened. The truth of Easter Day needed the soldiers, so we can celebrate Christ. And we can understand that Jesus on the cross, he does bear the pains with us. And this brings hope. It talks of a hope of a God who shares our pains, shares our story, our worries. He shares the coronavirus pandemic worries. Who enters our world, who knows it and takes it on himself and promises never to leave us as we walk with him in the pain. Like the followers of Jesus that first Good Friday, we don't know what the future will hold. We are closed up at home. We venture out, half fearful, unsure, to buy some food, and we scurry back home. And we go out as little as we can. Yet God sees what we do. God knows how we feel. He shares the worry. God is with us as we work away, helping others, looking forward to the time when life will return to normality. Or maybe not so normal, because maybe not just now at this time do we celebrate the unseen acts, those on the edge of society, those who do things that we don't notice, that we are now. And we give thanks for all who do things at this time, who work at this time, who are thrust forward to the centre. We give thanks for the NHS, the bin workers. We give thanks for the example that Jesus sets us of service to all. Amen. And a prayer to finish. Holy One, lift us up and shine into our lives. Touch us and enliven us at the heart of our being. We give thanks for the half unseen, those who live with courage and hope, those who find your transforming presence wherever they go and we go. We give thanks that you suffered on Good Friday, that you understand our feelings. And we give thanks for all who work unseen in the background to make society work. Amen.